Welcome to the Sports Injury Clinic's Facebook Live. This week we have with us Colette McCarthy, one of our long-term physiotherapists and Pilates instructors. Colette, today we're going to be talking about the benefits of Pilates. Might start with that. Why do you like it? What do you think it does for clients that you see?
I've been fortunate enough. I've been at the Sports Injury Clinic as both a physiotherapist and Pilates instructor for the last 11 years. And I've been able to see how Pilates can benefit our clients in terms of core strengthening and underlying strength programs so that they can return to their normal daily function if they're having trouble with that, or return to sport, or help them with their performance in sport. So the concept that we want to introduce, and I know you'll talk a little bit more about it, is about a short-term goal-specific, sport-specific Pilates plan. And I've seen how that's benefited people, and I've worked with a lot of people, so we'd like to introduce that on a broader scale around the clinic.
And I think something that's come up is that we do have a lot of clients that do Pilates weekly, as either a rehab or as a maintenance for their different body parts and health. But there are times when people have had either an injury or some surgery and they won't commit to doing Pilates forever. And so this program is about really giving them the benefit of what Pilates does.
Correct.
So how do you think a short program like this 8-week program helps with your management of the injury or the rehab as a physiotherapist?
As a physiotherapist, basically our program the start of it will run similarly to our regular Pilates program, but basically we can set some weekly specific goals, and they can be centred around what that person needs in terms of returning to sport. As an example, we had a football player who had a global name of osteitis pubis, didn't want to do Pilates long term, but did that for one of our 8-week programs, and each week we set little mini goals which he had to achieve, and we were able to return him back to football at the end of the 8-week program. So he was very happy about that.
So during that 8 weeks he was doing the Pilates and not being able to train?
He couldn't train in that time, so basically we used the Pilates program as an adjunct to what he would normally have been training. So his football teammates would have been at training when he was doing his Pilates plan. And
at the end of the 8 weeks he was then able to start training again?
Correct.
And I assume without injury, without...
That was right, and he will happily testify that he's never had another issue with that particular injury again, which is a great outcome for him. Yeah,
and again, as you just said, males and females benefit, so it's not one person or the next, adults and the young, the old.
Correct.
What other types of reasons can you see this short-term program working for?
I think it'll benefit a lot of people. We obviously have a lot of people in the community who are very active. People who are running, triathlons, Melbourne Marathon obviously comes up each year, and other marathon events. Often we see people down in physiotherapy who might come in, and it might be 2 or 3 months pre-event, and say, hey, I've got an injury, I need to manage it, I want to run the marathon. Can you help me do this? And something like this sport-specific Pilates program will help them with that, because we can set up their rehab, they'll be given tasks to do each week, and that will help them get to that goal. And we've seen that happen in the past in the clinic, where we've had patients come in, I've got an injury, marathon's in X number of weeks, I want to run it, and they've been able to achieve that. Yeah.
So if they haven't got an injury though, you're talking about strength as well then?
Correct. Yeah. So even if we're talking from a sports performance point of view, we may have those clients who are saying, I want this year to be my best year in gymnastics.
Yes.
So we can use the Pilates program to help them strengthen up, find out if there's any particular event or apparatus in part of their repertoire that they struggle with, and use that as our basis for setting up their program. And obviously we've got a good outcome to look at for them, because can they do that? Can they do that better? Can they achieve a PB or a higher score than they have been in the past? So we can definitely use that for so many different sports or events as performance enhancing.
So obviously the Pilates has the strength side to it, but you've also got things like assisting people to jump
higher, flexibility. Basically we look at, the goal will be looking at each person individually, what do they need for their particular event, whether it's strength, flexibility, components of each, and we can look at, you know, do they need to be able to jump higher, run faster, long jump, you know, can they do a longer event?
Yep. And what about in relation to post-operative work? How does it assist? How does this short-term program assist with that?
So the short-term program will also assist people in both a pre and post-operative period, whether it's a shoulder operation, hip replacement, knee replacement. We have found over the years that those patients who've engaged in something like the underlying stabilisation training, which is what we're using our Pilates program for, if they've done that in a 2 to 3 month program pre-operatively, in the post-op period they recover much faster. So what we'd be able to look at doing, for example, pre-hip or knee replacement, teaching them which muscles they need to use to be able to walk correctly, which sounds a little strange, but you'll be surprised, obviously, through the degenerative process, those muscles weaken. Strengthening those up, and then in the post-operative period, they're already streets ahead of someone who hasn't done any of that prehab. So in the post-operative period, it allows us then, if they're doing another 8-week program, to get them back to whatever their functional goal may be.
Yeah, and some of that pre-work is strengthening around the site as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're obviously not going to cure something like osteoarthritis, but if we can strengthen the muscles around it,
yes,
that allows them to be stronger. They go into the operative period at a much higher baseline activity level.
Yeah, and obviously then returning to their normal life sooner.
And
successful surgery.
Successful return, successful surgery.
Yeah.
So we've seen that in a lot of ways.
And there may be people that decide to stay on with Pilates, because there are those, as we've said, that come weekly and are very dedicated to their health. So then they hop out of this program and they just hop into one of our normal classes.
That's correct. Communication, obviously, they'll already have a card saying what their goals were, what their outcomes, what they've achieved, what they've already learnt in the class, and they're more than welcome to continue with our Pilates program, which we have classes running all through the day.
Yeah. Or they go back and do their gym work, or they're running, whatever it is that...
Whatever they want to go back to.
Keeps them
happy.
Fabulous. Thank you, Colette. And this program will be starting just after Easter?
Just after Easter, and basically we'll also do... Each client will be committed to doing a real-time ultrasound first, doing an individual session, 1 to 2 sessions as an individual, so that we can see what they need to do, and then we have our group class running, which will be maximum 4 participants, which is exactly the same way we run our Pilates classes throughout the week as well.
Yeah, and very specific then for the individual. So.
Very individual program.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Colette. I can't wait to see this up and running and some successful and happy people.
Yes, we look forward to seeing all those clients coming in for any sport-specific Pilates.